Go Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tycho.
Hey, what a day. I am so psyched. Naturally, I get to talk to Paulie on this podcast, but returning is one of my favorite people on the planet, Melody Mims Montgomery. How are you, Melody?
I'm well. I'm well. Another day, another breath. I'm blessed with that.
Absolutely, and we have to make note of that not everyone is blessed with not only a breath, but a pleasant breath. We're not in pain outwardly. So things are going good. Paulie, how's by you?
It's doing well. I'm hanging out in the studio doing what I do best, which is keeping my fingers on all the controls, right? That's what I do.
Beautiful.
So
Beautiful.
It's good to see you, Ziggy.
And I love to be controlled technology-wise because I don't know Jack.
You don't know Jack, but you know Paul, so that's the cool thing.
You don't need to know Jack. You know Paul. It's good.
Yeah, that's good enough. So you were just telling us we really need to make it out to the 420 celebration for you guys. Tell us a little bit about what you got coming up.
So as usual, third Friday, but in April it usually falls around the 420 weekend, and so that will be our celebration. We will have a live band, rhythm and blues. We'll have some food and lots of gift bags and raffles to do. So come out. There's sometimes we have over 100 people in the building at the time. So if you want camaraderie, if you want like-minded people to sit down with, smoke some weed with, who are mostly our age, then this is the place to be. We're going to be at Rooted at 4444 Telegraph in Oakland from 4 to 8 o'clock on the third Friday every month. But our party in April is usually is a big one, and we have lots of goodies and lots of surprises coming for people.
Beautiful. And my son, Philip, was born on 420 in 1990. He's going to be 35 years old, and what a mind fuck that is for old pop. A lot of moons gone by, and but we have some wonderful memories, and
my baby boy turned 38.
Whoa,
so,
you got me beat. Got me beat.
I feel you on that. He's my baby. He's the youngest of mine.
Oh,
so
wow.
Yeah, and I have 32 going on 33. So there we go.
Well, the 30 seem to be good luck for wee breeders.
Apparently, like we grow good kids. But I don't know about you guys, but neither one of my children smoke weed with me. They don't smoke weed.
Yeah, none of mine do either, really. So that's kind of strange.
Neither does Philip with me. His brother, who was my foster child and is now the parent of what he calls my grandson, not a foster grandson, but he's my grandson, Draco. And he smokes, but not like he used to in the old days. So do you find being a cannabis maven, Melody, that the younger generation isn't smoking as much as we did back in the day?
I think it depends on where you go. I mean, I wouldn't say that that's true in the Bay Area. I wouldn't say that's true. It depends on where you go, and access is always the deal, and legality is a deal. And so in California,
we have
all the things. Although we have great giant pockets of California where there is no access. Like in Southern California, there are spots where there's, the cities have denied denied Prop 64. So where we are.
Yeah.
Right.
They denied it, and so they're still banning. They've banned dispensaries. They've banned deliveries. We still have cities and pockets in California that you don't have access like we do here in our Bay Area, where you can pretty much throw a stone and find a dispensary.
Well, the politics is so different wherever you go in California. Out in Livermore, Pleasanton, it's much different than the Bay Area, for instance.
Well, they're different politically. They have a different headset there. Remember, in Livermore area, you have a lot of cowboys. You know, you have the farms, the ranchers and stuff out there. And so,
Right.
you know, you get a little different political mindset about liberals. It's not quite as liberal. I went to Livermore High School, so I don't know how it is now, but back then that was not the most liberal city to live in, and it was a struggle.
Right, and it's amazing how the farmers California farmers who voted for the man, and I'm not even going to use his name right now because.
By the way, let's bring up old times.
It'll hurt my ears.
Well, here's the funny thing is, you're right. Things are changing. Do you remember when somebody go, "Oh, I can trump you on that one"? That was a good term. That meant a good thing.
Right.
That meant like I can outdo you on something. Now it means I can be more of an ass to you.
Yeah.
I can lie to you. I can steal from you. I can cut your job. I can deport you with you having citizenship. That's
All
what
those
that
things.
means now.
Wait, I can take away your voting rights. Don't forget that. Don't forget that.
Oh yeah. Okay, so they already take.
And I still cannot get over how any woman ever voted for this guy after the loss of Roe v. Wade, which to me is essential to both women and men having a pleasant life.
Here's the silly thing. Why do guys even get a vote?
On that subject?
Yeah. I just want to know. Why do we get a vote?
It shouldn't.
I'm just telling you.
It's not.
We don't have shit to say. I don't care if you're Republican, liberal, whatever. If you're a guy, you don't have shit to say. Take a back seat. Let the women take care of their own bodies.
I just want to say,
just telling you,
an
it's ridiculous.
For this told me that it's a state issue. These women can get on a bus and go to any state. Really? I mean, really? Which state to go to? Which information to get? Which 16-year-old has the ability to do? We're going to go back to wire hangers.
Well, okay, so we've already
like access. We're talking money, not just like who can get there, but like
right, like money, access. Where you're going to stay when you get there? Who you're going to stay with? Have you ever been on?
You know, who's going to take care of you and watch after you? It's a nasty thing. It's a nasty thing. We have. I feel like we're just with number 47. Well, when he was 45, we saw the hidden layers that most Americans were proudly saying we don't have racism in America, and then when he got elected the first time, it came out before that. It came out when Obama ran. It every time we think it's okay, it's not okay. And then every time
he questioned his citizenship and where he was from, as if that really makes a difference.
Because look who's standing by his side right now.
Well, okay, so even so, I don't even know if you guys know what's going on. They just grabbed that student from Colombia, and
Yeah.
it was for peaceful protesting, and he's on the wrong side. I mean, I'm not picking sides, but you know, he's like pro Palestinian, da da da. He's Hamas. He likes Hamas. But they actually went there, arrested him, detained him, and now he's off, ready for deportation. But the judge had stopped him from doing it because he has the citizenship. He was just protesting. I guess when he was arrested and or detained, they didn't tell him exactly, other than it wasn't for terrorism, and it wasn't even for what they say it could be, which is like colluding with like known terrorists or whatever. So it's not even that. It's just that he was literally an outspoken um
They got him for
activist.
public disruption.
Right. And literally they're going to they tried to get him out of the country. So like with the Roe v. Wade,
Jesus Christ.
so with the Roe v. Wade thing, they're taking away women's rights. I'm worried about them taking away their voting rights because we're going
this
backwards.
This upcoming bill. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know, like I think it's 60 or 70 million women now have to go track down their original birth certificates. Like, who knows if those are even available? Because if your town or jurisdiction had fires,
right,
water flooding, any kind of thing like that, you may not be able to get that. Plus, then you have to get your marriage certificate and your current ID. That's 3 pieces of paper that you now have to bring to register to vote. And I haven't even read it deep enough to know if that means just new voters or all of us have to go re-register to vote.
No, just anybody that's not a
way,
Republican. Anybody that's not a Republican has to go re-register.
There you go. There you go.
Sorry.
That's
right
at least they're honest.
Right
That's
on
the
it
only thing they're honest about.
So did you notice that politics nowadays is like quicksand? No, I'm just telling you. It's like quicksand. You go, it's just like in the old movies or in the cartoons. You come up to it and you go, oh, there's a big pool of wet sand. I'm not going to go near it, but yet somehow we get sucked into it anyway. We're saying we're not going to talk about politics. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that, but we do it because you know why? Everything's kind of wrapped up in it. In some way or another, we're embroiled. If you don't know somebody that's been affected by even just the cuts, you know, they had the other night, they had the guy on Jimmy Kimmel who was the locksmith for Yosemite or whatever it was. Was it Yellowstone or Yosemite or? I always want to say Jellystone because I always think of Yogi Bear. But no, it's not Jellystone Park.
Hey, boo-boo.
Hey, boo-boo.
Yeah,
But they literally had him on there because he was the only one that had the keys to all the bathrooms. And he had his big old ring of keys. They had fired him. Let him go.
So when you think of things like that, the trickle down effects, like all the way down. I was watching the news or, I think it was the news yesterday or the day before, and they were showing entire housing complexes that were half built and there was no workers there.
Oh, yeah.
They were just empty, like hundreds of homes that had not been completed and nobody was out there working. Either people were afraid they have green cards or they're citizens,
right?
But they're afraid to go get wrapped up into it because to be able to prove that from a state of basic encampment or prison is the hardest thing that anybody can do to then get out. And since they're doing these mass sweeps because you look like a thing, so you must be a thing, we're going to get you. And then it's hard to get out. So people aren't going to work. Even our own citizens, even naturalized citizens, even people here with green cards, they're not going to work because they're terrified of getting caught in the system. So hundreds of homes that are, this one complex particularly was prepaid. These people had prepaid for their homes based on models.
Right.
And the homes are just sitting there, and the rain came, and they don't have good roofs on them, and they don't. Some of them don't even have complete siding done or windows, and so the structures, literally the wood structures of the house,
Well,
are becoming rotted, and they're going to have to tear a lot of them down and start from the beginning again when they ever get workers.
So, which that means the insurance rates are going to go up as well. So, yeah.
Can I make a segue? Is this a good time to segue?
Sure, please.
Yeah.
Pivot, girl.
Let's take us out of here for a minute.
Yes.
Because I'm talking about construction.
Right.
So let's talk about what we said we were going to talk about, and bring hemp into this conversation.
Yes.
I think this is a perfect place to get it in there.
Right.
What I meant to do on this episode, and what we will do, is talk about all the ways that hemp potentially, because it's so limited right now, potentially can help conserve and save this planet. So under that topic,
and possibly this country, because we need natural resources at this point with all the tariffs. But yeah, pivot.
Absolutely. And what would we save by not having to go to Greenland, buy Greenland for their assets? We could do this. And briefly for me, you take cotton, you take the boll weevil out of it, and that reduces cancer for people. And let's start there. What hemp could replace cotton? What else could hemp?
So we really can talk about that for a minute, because there's so. I think before we move on, let's talk about all the ways, because hemp can make like denim-like material for jeans.
Right.
It doesn't necessarily have to be jeans anymore. I have 2 purses that are made out of hemp. I have 2 t-shirts and a hoodie that are all made out of hemp. So I think that, when we think of clothing, we tend to think of, like, I don't know, old school 50s or 60s hippie clothes, but there's so many things clothing wise that it can be made into. And I love the fact that my hemp purses are very sturdy, and they've lasted longer than any other purses that I've ever bought in my life.
And they've made it so the material of hemp is now soft like cotton.
Yes.
Much improved than 5-10 years ago.
Yes, it's no longer scratchy, or it's crunchy. It's lovely. It's lovely. And so I think they've made great improvements on that. So yeah, clothing. 2 of the most fascinating things for me around hemp are biofuel and bioplastics. I find that those 2 subjects fascinating, and so wish that they will do more research into those 2 areas, because biofuels, really, like that's such a earth saver. Bioplastics, and another earth saver. We have so many plastics, going into the earth, and it's horrible.
We have complete islands in the Pacific.
Yes, so bioplastics, I think, is a wonderful investment for us to lean into. And biofuel, I'm really down with all those things. There's so many things. There's oil-based products, and we have just the hemp seeds themselves that are nutritional and also can be made into hemp oils, be added into food and or topical solutions.
Have they had done, I guess they've done hemp everything before. Have they done hemp diapers?
I
And the reason I say diapers is because when I was growing up, they used to say, oh, well, that's going to be the thing that is going to be here for 1 million years in landfills, was going to be diapers. Because my generation went from cloth diapers and putting safety pins and stuff on it to disposable diapers and the gel and the plastic. And you were just mentioning microplastics. But then there's all these other types of other things that get built that are disposable. We live in a disposable society. When I was growing up, if a TV broke, you brought it to the repair shop. Same thing with, everything. A toaster, you brought it to the appliance store and the guy tinkered with it. If you had a watch that it stopped working, you would take it to the watch repairman and he would put a new battery in it or a new crystal or whatever, and he'd get you a new watch. Nowadays, you're expected to throw them away.
I had a TV. This was just within the last couple years, and I hadn't had it that long, and I asked on one of our Facebook groups, where did anybody suggest a TV repair shop here on the island? And I got one, but most people said, you might as well just get a new one. It's cheaper to buy a new one, probably cheaper to buy a new one. It was amazing how many times I got that response. And I thought, but what if it's not? Like, are we sure? And then literally we ended up getting a new one because I didn't have a way to get it there. It was a large TV and I did not have a way to get it down there. And it literally was easy for us to have a new one brought in, and they took my old one out, and that was all there was to that.
Well, and I think we even know nowadays when you buy a printer for your computer and you run out of ink, it is cheaper to buy a new printer than it is to get a new refill of ink.
Ink is so expensive. It's so expensive. I just went to buy some yesterday, and I haven't bought it yet because it's like making me rethink. Okay, do I need ink or do I need milk?
Right.
Like, ink or eggs?
Right.
So hemp, yeah. So I think there's multiple uses. I think that we haven't even investigated all of the things that it can be used for. I'm excited about beauty products, like lotions, hair products, all because the hemp seeds are so full of vitamins and good things for you. The oils that they're making out of the hemp seeds and the hemp are really good for your body.
Hey, Melody, let me take a second to talk about your product. Tell us about what it is.
The product I can't sell anymore.
You can't.
The product I can't sell
you have
anymore.
A new product you can't. Can you talk about why?
Yes, we can talk about that.
Okay, so just to let you know, Ralph, your audio started pooping out about 7 minutes ago. So that's why the camera's staying on you instead of going to whoever's on talking. So I have to click back and forth. So I do apologize to our viewers.
I appreciate that.
No problem. So tell us about your product, Melody. Tell us about your product and why you can't sell it anymore.
So I developed. Go ahead, Ralph. You have done it.
If you can't sell it legally, do you have any that we could sell for you?
Illegally.
illegally, because in today's day and age, that's not what they're going to come after. Is me for selling somebody else's.
Hey, they locked Tommy Chong up. So
Well,
For bongs. So yeah, we have to be very careful about
but
that.
he got a good meals while he was in,
and he got working out, but do you think that's the thing for you?
So I made a product when I had locks. I had very long locks. And one day when I went to get them tightened, my husband had filled the car with gas, and there was gasoline, on the handle on the steering wheel.
Right.
And you get your hair done. Well, you may not know, but we
Yeah, I have no hair, therefore it doesn't need to be
we wanna
done.
do things, touch it, make it, put it over here the way it should go. So I messed around and gotten some gasoline from the steering wheel onto my newly tightened scalp, and it started stinging, and it started itching, and it started burning. And I'm in the shower and I'm washing my head and I'm doing all kinds of crazy things to make it stop. At one point, I looked at my husband. I said, "I'm done. You just need to get your shaver and shave them all off." And I'm talking about I had them down to the middle of my back. And I was like, "Just shave them. Just shave my head. I can't stand this itching." And he looked at me and he said, "Nothing you can do with your weed stuff for that?" And I was like, oh. So I thought about like what is it that makes itches stop? So aloe vera makes itches stop. I went and did some more research. What other good things? Some kinds of teas, chamomile tea. What other products are good for hair growth? So I developed this infused aloe vera gel to put on your head to stop the itches. And for Black people, especially that have locks and braids, they know. You see people walk around patting their head. That's because it's itchy. And so I developed this for that, to ditch the itch. And it was a product that I made specifically for Black people with our hair texture that did the same things to their head that I was doing. And it worked so amazingly. And then while I'm developing it and I'm putting it in bottles, I realized that my hands stopped hurting because I got some on my hands. And I was just like, well, it's good. It's aloe vera. I'll rub it in. Okay. So then my hands stopped hurting. My friends started using it. It just blew up. You can use it for your head. You can use it for your muscles. You can use it for your dogs that get hot spots and they just keep itching and scratching at a spot until it's raw. You can spray this on and they'll stop. They'll just stop. I literally have friends who used to buy it just for their animals. Just for their animals. I had a veterinary use it on the birds because it also will help anything that itches. I had a girl burn her finger and get a blister and use it, and 3 days later, you couldn't see the blister. Wow. My best story though was about Sarah and her baby, and she had a 10.5 pound baby. I think the baby was 10.5 pounds. And because the baby was he had a hematoma on his head, a really large swelling of blood here. And the doctors said that it would go away maybe in 6 months or so. It would just take time for it to go away. And so I took her over tend to head and she started putting it on the baby's head. And in about 6 weeks, it was hardly visible. Wow. And they were overjoyed. I mean, Sarah was broadcasting it everywhere. So much that I was like, hey, I hope you don't get in trouble for using weed on your baby. Like, be careful. But it's not anything that gets you high.
It's not psychoactive if it's a topical.
And it's not active. I don't activate it before I process it.
And hold on a second, Ralph. Your audio's so bad, buddy. It's bleeding in
I'm
so
not
bad.
talking.
No, I know that. I know that. I know that. You can't hear it. Can you hear it on your end? And if you can't, maybe I'd feel better.
I can't hear it. See what happens if Ralph. No, last time Ralph muted himself, we couldn't get him back.
No, and we couldn't do that. And I was going to have him call in so I could just pick up his audio, but it seems like when he talks, it's fine. So, what is the actual product? Is it hemp or is it?
No, I'll make it with hash, cold water hash.
Okay. And so again, if it's a topical, it's non-psychoactive. Even when you're using stuff like CBD or even THCA nowadays, if you're it doesn't go psychoactive even when you eat it, right?
This is true. The thing about that is though, like if you're putting it on your scalp and you're in a job or going for a job that does any kind of follicle testing,
it will
you
come
will
up positive.
test dirty because there's weed in your scalp. I mean, it helps your hair grow. It can't help that. It helps your hair grow. At one point, right here at the top of my head, where all this lush, lovely hair is, I was bald. I had a big bald spot from COVID, and I tried to tighten my own locks, and I broke a big patch. I just kept breaking the hairs, and they got so thin up here that I was just like, okay, I had to cut it all off. So I put the product on it for three months, like 2 times a day. As soon as I woke up, I'd put it in there. Before I went to bed, I'd put it in there. In 3 months, I had grown back this much hair and was able to cut off the rest of my locks. So I had a lovely little mini fro going on when I first cut it. But I mean, it's worked for so many things. And then so I can't sell it because I don't have enough money to buy a license. And
No, I bet you we lost him, right? But he's still there, and it sounds clear. So let's not touch anything.
So
whatever you do, Zig,
I
don't
don't
touch
have
anything.
enough money. The licensing process, the place that you have to actually manufacture it, everything that's involved in setting up a legal California cannabis business is not set up for the normal person. Did I lose you too?
No, we're here. I see your picture.
Okay, so it's not set up for the regular person. It's set up for people with deep pockets, and I don't have that kind of resources to spend $100,000+ getting a business set up and taking it through the year and getting enough product to get it all going. So it's a product. It's something that I do I do it for me. I do it for my family. I make it, but I can't sell it legally, and I can't put it on shelves in dispensaries. And I was literally on 3 different dispensaries and in 3 different deliveries before Prop 64 happened.
Right. So,
and it happened to me and just hundreds of other small businesses in cannabis, topical makers, candy makers, even small batch growers got hit so hard that it's been difficult. It's been difficult for the regular person to carry on and with our industry that we started. It was an industry that we started, that we are a part of, and now people just want to come in and buy licenses, and they have a lot of money, and they're from different industries, and they just want to jump in on what they see as the green rush.
Right. So was it? And did I miss that part? You weren't able to get it registered because of that?
No, yeah, because it's the process is too difficult.
Is it because you would think the Bay Area it would be easier, and you're an alum of
state licensing, it's federal licensing, it's all the legalities.
Right, because it still has to go through stuff like the FDA, right?
No, but we have to, it just costs. It costs a lot of money to get a cannabis license. It costs a lot of money to do the things around. Like, you have to have a certain amount of security. You have to have.
So why don't you get a local distro company to support this endeavor?
That is difficult as well. It's problematic. we were doing it at the beginning. I had a company that was white labeling for
Yeah,
me.
that's what I would say. Is
Um,
a local distro that could white label your product and it would be
one
legal
of
and
the
registered.
problems with that is that everybody that I know that are local distros are so struggling right now, um, that it's difficult. And again, there are rules and regulations about how you have to go about doing that. That it's not
It's not as
the
easy as it sounds, is what
it's
you're saying.
not. Yeah, just get somebody to do that. Yeah, I got people. But it's not as easy to still do the process as it would seem.
Right.
I mean, you have to think about like topicals are probably 1% or 3% of the total cannabis market.
Right.
Um,
It's really small numbers when you're
it's
talking about.
small numbers, and the return. It's not like if I buy an eighth of weed, I'm gonna come back in 2 days, 3 days, however fast you smoke. I'm gonna continue to buy all month. But if you buy a small bottle, a 2 ounce bottle of my product, it might last you 4 to 6 months, depending on how much you use it.
Right.
So so it's very, on top of the expense of becoming a company, there's the part where you're just at the bottom of the sales hierarchy as far as cannabis goes. And because you have a product that you put in these bottles, it's supposed to last for a minute. It's not a 1 use or a 3 use, or it's just very hard for topical companies to continue.
Right.
Typically, the ones that are deeper pocketed to begin with have the longest longevity on that.
Now let's go back to the hemp issue, or the hemp, the resources for hemp and what we should be doing with hemp. I did lose your video, and I think we might have lost Zig all the way, because he seemed like he was still there, even though his sound got better because I could see him in the corner. But now that we don't have your video at all, I can't tell if he's still connected. But Zig, are you there? Yeah, I didn't think so. So I think he was hanging in there for a minute or two. But what else should we be doing in your eyes to spare this planet and help this planet a little bit with resources such as hemp?
Everything that we can. We have to, you know, it saddens me when we have, I hate to bring it back to politics, but we have to vote. We have to vote for people who who on the earth's side, not on money's side, but on the earth side. We have to vote for people who care about and believe in climate change. We have to do that on a local basis as well as on a large basis. You have to start locally, make sure you're like I'm going to use Alameda. Alameda is very environment conscious.
Right.
About how we do things, the energy we use, the way we use it, the way that we set up new parks and whatnot within the city.
Right.
Um, and so you have, so we start there. We start locally, like with anything. You start locally because local has a lot of power to build out. To build out, you become that stone in the pond that builds the waves out. But voting. You have to vote, and then we have to take responsibility. How much plastic do you use? I don't use plastic in my like water. I don't buy plastic bottles. As you see, I'm drinking water out of cans. Um, I have a cup that I've used for years to put ice in and water in when I walk out the door.
Well,
So I'm
even
not
if I
buying
get like,
plastic.
so I just got forced a bottle of water on me, and I'll do that. But it's funny because even when I'm finished with this, I have a hard time throwing it right in the bin.
Like, what do we do with it? What do we do with those things?
I've
It's
been
all
watching like Instagram videos and finding
okay.
out things to do to make out of your bottles.
It's a lot of
I at the very least I reuse my plastic containers at least once or twice. If it's a food container that I just emptied, like I don't know, sour cream or cottage cheese or why all these dairy products, whatever the container is, If I usually rinse it out and I use it for leftovers for lunch the
Yes.
next day.
Yes. So things like that, we can all be conscious of how much we just throw away and the ways that we purchase.
Right. Especially the
Um,
way we purchase.
the way that we purchase. And yes, sometimes it may cost us more, and that's unfortunate. That's unfortunate. The same way unfortunate that organic fruit and vegetables cost us more than the same orange right next to it.
Right.
You have to pay more for organic. That's unfortunate. Um, but we have to be willing to pay attention to ourselves and our uses, because we can't just be saying things like, there's an island full of plastic floating in the ocean. Okay, well, how much of that island belongs to you?
Right.
You.
Right.
Okay, how much of that island are you personally responsible for?
Take some personal responsibility for your actions, and you're right. There's not always the green solution. Like I, have the bottle of water. I got, it's that or no water, or drinking tap water, which used to be fine when I was a kid, but
Out of the hose.
Yeah, out of the hose. And I remember it well. It used to be great on a hot summer day, and now I'm too. I mean, it was like, wasn't it like the mid '70s? Perrier water came out, and
Yes.
so when I first saw bottled water come out, I thought, this is silly, this is stupid. Everybody did, but here we are.
But here we are. See, and I don't even drink the plain water. I like sparkling water. I don't
I
want
like
sugar or
sparkling
anything in it.
water.
I just like the plain flavored, or just plain sparkling water. Even I just like bubbles in it. I just like the bubbles. And I don't want any sugar. I don't want sweetener. I don't like it sweet at all. I just want it plain.
Right, right.
Nowadays, if I drink a soda, I find it so extremely sweet. I'm like, oh, that's a lot of sugar. And I remember back in the day, just slugging them down, just always being with a soda. Ginger ale is my preference. Just always having one in my hand, and now I have a sip of one, and I'm like, oh, that's very sweet.
And again, we're speaking with Melody Mims Montgomery, and tell us a little bit. And what is your official position with Tokeland Seniors?
I'm one of the original co-founders of the group. We started it out of another larger group that we had, and we discovered that out of the 100 or so people that were coming out to the first Friday event, excuse me, that a lot of us were seniors, and it was becoming difficult to go out to the lake. It's cold. There's no place to sit. It's hard to get up and off the ground for a lot of people. And so we just really were looking for an alternative for the senior part of that community.
Right.
And so that's how it started. And we reached out to a few people. We got some things donated. We had a couple brands come out for the first group meeting, and that was 7 years ago. And we have been surviving literally off the kindness and the generosity of the cannabis community ever since.
And now,
and
I'm sorry, I cut you off there. No, I was going to say, and now you're don't want to say your new home, because you've been there. It's Rooted, right? Tell us a little bit about your people at Rooted.
We love Rooted. Rooted is equity owned by people of color, and they really feature cannabis equity businesses, and people of color and women, marginalized community are featured as products in the dispensary, and they have just been lovely to us starting April of last year. So this coming up for April, our party in April, will be a year that we will have been there. They opened their lounge in the back to us and gave us a free home and said, come here, and you're more than welcome to be here. We'd like to sponsor you, and we'd like to help you. And they have gone about, Daniel and Ricky, the owners there, have gone in infinity. Everybody there has just been so kind and so active about recruiting brands for us and having them come to our parties to be able to give away products. So nothing is sold at our party. We don't allow sales inside of our party. You're more than welcome. We encourage you to get to step into their dispensary and buy from them. And that's our big thing is we tell people when you're done smoking all the cannabis we're about to give you, make Rooted your home spot because they give so much back to our community. We want to make sure that we give back to them and we make them the spot that we spend our money. If you have to spend money, make sure that you're spending your resources on people who return it back into your community. So also that's a good point. Know who your dispensaries are, know who the owners are, know what is their philosophy, and do they have a compassion program where they give to patients, where they give to seniors or veterans. Those are the type of dispensaries that you want to spend your money at.
Yeah, and it's so weird because that's something I really miss from the marketplace in general. Is just knowing that's what I love about dispensaries nowadays, unless they're even if they're big branded or whatever. But I really like the mom and pop places. I like what they bring to the table from their knowledge to their compassion, to just educational. I mean, when you walk into certain places and you, even if you're an old head like we are, you can learn stuff daily from what's going on out there.
It's fun. It's fun.
Now, what is the flavor that you savor today? What's the latest thing that you've tried that you really enjoy?
We were talking earlier about tinctures,
Right.
and I do want to do a shout out to George.
Yeah, George Grimm. So this one, George, here's a little bit of advice that Melody had thought about after the last podcast that we did with her. So this goes out to George Grimm.
Yeah. George, you had said that you had been eating brownies to help with the glaucoma and lowering the pressure, and it was making you feel better. And I wanted to suggest a tincture, an oil-based tincture for you. And you can either make that yourself, and there's lots of recipes online about how to do that, or most dispensaries have them. Don't get an alcohol one, an oil-based tincture. Way better for you than eating daily brownies. Not as much sugar, not as much fat, not as much bad fat. There's good fat in the oils that you're gonna get. It's coconut oil or sunflower oil.
And even
so
olive oil and
oils.
stuff. So they have all these things that are used as what they call binding agents. So they get that cannabis, and if you just throw it in some oil, it's like oil and water. It doesn't really bind. So if they have the right thing and they prepare it properly, it flows throughout the product and makes it more consistent. And so, like, I like things with MCT with coconut oil because it seems to my body really kind of
absorbs it better,
takes it in better. It even any leftover, like even when you take too many multivitamins, your urine might be extra yellow or something. So there's toxins that come out of you. And so with certain oils, I definitely feel it better, like coconut oil, even olive oil.
I prefer sunflower.
Sunflower. So how does that help you versus like
I just feel like it's easier for my stomach to digest, and I know a lot of people have a good time, an easy time with coconut oil, but sometimes coconut oil can make me constipated, honestly. Right. And so if too much of it, and I want to take a hefty amount because I want the tincture not only to make me high, but I want it to work on my aches and pains and things I got going on. So if I take too much of it, then I will have that happen. And so I'm very careful about what kinds of carrier oils. But yeah, so George, that's what I wanted to suggest is that you reach out to your dispensaries or go online, Google how to make it. It's very easy to make it. If you're making it with with water. There are many processes out there to get to do oil and or butter, but I would suggest any kind of oil and tincture for you as opposed to eating daily brownies, although those brownies can be tasty.
Yeah. So
I am
I
not
think
opposed to the
if we
occasional brownie. I am not opposed to. I just think as a daily basis, I don't probably think at our age, that that feeding ourselves those brownies on a daily basis is probably good for us.
yeah, so even like so one of my little guilty pleasures when it comes to cannabis, and it's something that works well for me, is that there's a and I'm trying to remember what the name of the brand is. I think it's Emerald Sky. They have the peanut butter cups, and they're little miniature peanut butter cups, and I only need one to be able to get a good night's sleep and usually make it throughout the night. So it's only like, I think it's 10 milligrams.
Okay,
So it's not that much, and it's a small little, like a
so
Reese's.
small,
It looks
so
like a
probably
Reese's
not very
miniature
much
peanut butter
sugar.
cup. It's that
Yeah,
small. And so when it's that small, you take it a half hour before bed, and it helps. And like I said, it's a little bit of a guilty pleasure. It's almost like having a mint on your pillow to go to bed.
see, I mean that's all relative because when you say 10 milligrams to me,
That's nothing, right?
I, I can't feel 10 milligrams. The tincture that you saw me take right before we did this, that
Right.
was 60 milligrams. I
Yeah.
did 60 milligrams, and I was like, that's my baseline to start with, and then we can go up from there, and then we'll hit the vape pen or do some dabs or smoke some weed. Um, so dosage is critical, and it's critical to know your own dosage, know your limitations.
Right. And like I said, I used to love those things because they were the right dose at that time, and they would kind of promote it, and it had more CBN, and it was a sleep aid. I guess it was more like taking a melatonin for me or something. It didn't put me down, but I'm one of those people that like to flip flop a little bit in bed. And so that would reduce that. But you're right. As your body builds up that tolerance, your edible consumption or your THC or whatever goes up, it rises. And so with that, now I'm taking, yeah, like I said, like you said, your baseline's around 60. That's about right. I mean, there's times where I go out and I take double that just to have fun,
Right,
go
right,
ride a
yeah. We
bicycle or
start with
go
that, and then we
hiking or
keep adding
something.
stuff to it.
Yeah. And so know your dose. Know how your body reacts, because everybody's different. Know your dose. You can always add to your trip. You can't take away. So start off
Yes,
slow.
it's true.
Um, when you read an edible package, and even when you hear a recommendation from a friend, they always go, okay, whatever you think you're going to do, half. Then wait. And really wait. Really wait.
Because people don't wait. They don't wait, and then they eat some more, and they don't wait, and they eat some more, and then when it all hits, like an hour and a half later, sometimes depending on
Yeah.
how they
Your body
ate them,
metabolizes it, right?
then they're too high. They're just too high, and then they don't know what to do with that. And by the way, smell some pepper. It's always good. Just smell some pepper. That'll
Smell
bring
some
you
pepper, bring
down a little
yourself
bit.
down.
Smell some pepper, and everybody has pepper. So that is the easiest, fastest remedy that I have, other than take a nap. I mean,
Now we're getting really close
we're
to
back
the
to
end.
take a nap.
We're getting really close to the end of the podcast. I was hoping Zig was going to join us back in, but right now he's probably recharging that phone. And we got one part of his situation fixed, which is now his screen is going sideways. Now we just need to get him some earbuds so he doesn't have that echo.
May I suggest? No, I don't want to suggest a brand online.
Oh, I don't care. Maybe they'll become our sponsors and they'll send him a free set.
Okay, may I suggest these little Bose earbuds? I love my Bose earbuds. They absolutely are sound. What do you call it? I'm lost the word. The tincture must be kicking in.
Yeah, we're right at that threshold, right
soundproof.
about there. You hit you in about an hour. Good, okay.
So soundproof, like when I put.
Oh
these
yeah, like
in,
sound
I cannot-
reduction. Like Yeah.
I cannot hear anything. And they have different modes where they have like an attention mode where you can be aware of what's going on.
So
And
like
then they have just
sound
a silent
canceling
mode.
outside. Right.
Just, yes, noise canceling. And then when I say noise canceling, they cancel everything.
Wow.
And they stay in and they have beautiful sound. I never thought that I would spend as much money, but they were on sale. And I have never been disappointed in them or saddened that I bought them. They are my favorite earbuds or earphones that I've ever owned in my life. So Bose.
There you go. Well, shout out to Bose. Get us those earbuds so we can get Zig back in the zone. That's all I'm saying. Melody, we're getting to that time. So please shout out anything and everything, especially Tokeland Seniors, your guys' group, where we can catch up with everything that you're doing. And I know you're going to join us again. Zig and I really need to make it out to you and hang out with you at one of the events.
I wish you guys would come out. Like I especially want to invite you to our 420 party. Let me look at the calendar real quick and get an exact date for that.
Okay.
It is going to be on 3 on April 18th. So it will be our 420-ish. We will bring in the 420 weekend with Tokeland Senior on April 18th, 4 p.m. to 8 p.m. at Rooted in the 510 4444 Telegraph in Oakland.
Awesome. And
Live music, food, free. I'm gonna say free party. Free party.
Now, and you can see all this information on your Instagram group for Rooted, right?
You see us on yes, Rooted promotes for us. And you can also find us on Facebook. It's spelled the weirdest way on Facebook because they didn't want it to give us the name that we wanted, just TOKE Tokeland. So it's T''Oakland.
Got you. That's how we get around that.
Oakland, you'll find us. It'll be T''Oakland. Otherwise, we say it Tokeland Senior Cannabis Group, and you'll find us on Facebook, on Instagram. If you do hashtag Tokeland, you'll also find us.
And if you're one of those groups that want to give to this great group of seniors, please.
You can contact me directly. You can, if you can't find me, I'm Melody Mims Montgomery on Facebook and the same on Insta.
Right there. See, right there on the screen, folks. See it?
Right there. Yeah, that's who I am. So you can find me, message me. We will take your money, we will take your cannabis, we will take your topicals, we will take your edibles. If it has to do with, and we will take any kind of like bongs, pipes. We need more accessory companies.
Okay.
We don't have enough of those. That's what we are. We do not have enough of. We have lots of cannabis, and we have so many companies donating to us.
And there's resources. So if you're a corporation out here in the Bay, help these people. It's okay to do this nowadays. It's okay. It's not a stigma anymore. Cannabis is actually considered a drug and a
medicine.
Yeah, and so you really need to get beyond that. Help the Tokeland Seniors. Melody, thank you again. Really enjoy spending time with you. The only thing better than this is actually when we're together. So thank you for your time. It's so good to see you.
You too. Thank you.
And you guys, for myself, Ralph, Zig, Tycho, and the rest of the crew here, keep doing what you're doing, and we'll see you next week in the zone. All right, guys. Bye now.